Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jayam Sabad Paramahansa Padadikacharya Ashtoto to the Shishiman Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Padadikacharya Ashtoto to the Shishiman His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 5th day of June 2017 in SanDiego, a reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're going to do 529 one more time. Such an important verse. This is on page 255 and the chapter is entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. 255. Bhoktarang yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridang sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantimrichati. Bhoktarang yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram Sudidang sarva bhutanam Gyatva mam shantimrichati. Bhoktarang yagyatapasam Sarvaloka maheshwaram Sudidang sarva bhutanam Gyatva mam shantimrichati. Bhoktarang yagyatapasam Sarvaloka maheshwaram Sudidang sarva bhutanam Gyatva mam shantamrichati. Bhoktarang yagya tapasam Savaloka Maheshwaram Sudidam Sarva Bhutanam. Time out. Your iPad. Forgot to give it. David? David Chang? David Rice? Want to try? Okay. For Shakti? Bhoktaram yagya tapasam Savaloka Maheshwaram Sudidam Sarva Bhutanam Gatva Mam Shantimrichati. Bhoktaram, the beneficiary, yagya of sacrifices, tapasam and penances and austerities, sarvaloka of all planets and demigods thereof, Maha Ishwaram, the Supreme Lord, Suridam, the benefactor, Sarva of all Bhutanam, the living entities, Gyatva, thus knowing, Mam, me, Lord Krishna, Shantim, relief from material pangs, Richati, one achieves. Translation. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. Purport. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world. But they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than he. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Shvetashvara Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tamishwaranam Padamam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. This fifth chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as karma yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how karma yoga can give a liberation is answered herewith. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga is a path leading to bhakti yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute. The perfection of this consciousness, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He, the soul, comes in contact with Maya or illusion due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial toward anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. And one who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above-mentioned passions, remains factually in the transcendental stage, or Brahma Nirvana. The Eightfold Yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is a gradual process of elevation in the practice of yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. But these only preface perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. It is the highest perfection of life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of karma yoga, or action in Krishna consciousness. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Shri Parampara. So I remember way back when, in the 60s, when peace was a big thing. When there was a peace movement, there was a peace, you remember the peace symbol? You know, they became identified with the hippie thing, but it really wouldn't start that way. And people really aspired to peace, at least the lack of war, you know, the absence of war. There was so much war, the Vietnam War, and then after that we had other little wars, and people didn't like it. But somehow now, you know, since 9/11 and the invasion of Iraq and all these things, it's become accepted, kind of people just accept it in America anyway, that war is just the state of the way things are. But if the war is over there, you know, we don't have to think about the war. But factually, just like Srila Prabhupada talks about how cow slaughter is the root of so much war in society, that people think that they can do this on and on with impunity, these vast slaughterings of cows, billions of animals, not just cows, in America every year and all over the world, without there being a reaction. But everything that we do has its reaction, unless it's being done for the service of Krishna. And so here Krishna gives a statement. Prabhupada called it the peace formula, and it's predicated on recognizing Krishna as the supreme, and that he's actually meant to be the focus of our attention and our desire and our activities. It's a revolutionary concept in a world in which the name God is being invoked all over the place, but the concept of service to God and service to humanity through service to God is unknown. And certainly any true concept of who the Supreme Absolute Truth really is unknown. And so, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, sacrifices and austerities. This is a common theme in the Bhagavad Gita. There are things called yajna and the things called tapasya. And they overlap. I mean, to perform an elaborate yajna is itself tapasya, isn't it? Especially in the old days when they would gather, you know, thousands of Brahmins chanting in unison, and all the Gita has to be bored, and the timing of the whole thing, and you know, it's a big operation. But on an individual level, we find even in ordinary life that sacrifices are being performed. In order to live a civilized life, you have to sacrifice some of your independent desire to just be the master and enjoyer of everything that comes into your purview. In other words, it's a sacrifice of sorts to give up your animalistic nature. Just like children, right? Until they go to school, they're basically as little animals, enjoying senses here and there. As soon as there's some little negative thing, they cry. You know, I'm not criticizing them or anything. It's just the nature of things. But whole society can't live like that. If you think about it, the American society, Western society, which is now pervading the world. You know, I was shocked. You go to India. I went to India first in '75, and then I remember going to Bombay in 2005. It was absolutely shocking. A huge billboard downtown. They don't have the concept of zoning. You know, they have right in the big middle of the city. Huge billboards. And it was an advertisement for a bed. And there was this half-dressed lady inviting you to the bed. India. Come on, you know. I mean, the Vedic culture is one of is built on self-restraint, self-control, protection of ladies, modesty, all this stuff. And where is it coming from? It's coming from the West. It's an infection. As soon as I remember when they had the first satellites were going around and beaming, you know, TV stations everywhere, and you heard, even in India, China, everywhere, they're getting all these. Now it's going to be degraded, and it's become degraded. The internet, all of these things. So, human life is meant for tapasya and for sacrifice. Without that, there's no humanity. This is what it means. This is part of what Dharma is. Within Dharma, there's so many sacrifices, so many austerities, for ultimate upliftment. It's not meant just for, you know, artha. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These are the classic four purusharthas in the Vedic culture. But as we learn from the Bhagavatam, which is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, the true goal of Dharma is not artha, is not money, but rather it's bhakti. Savai pangsang paro dharma yato bhakti hokshaje. This is the first answer of Sutta Goswami to the sages. What is that dharma by which people can truly be satisfied? And the implication is they're not going to be satisfied no matter how much money they make. This society, there's an upper crust of likely less than 1%, like 1/10 of 1% or 1/100 of 1%, who are just rolling in dough. They don't know what to do with it. Do you know that Apple computer has $181 billion that they have in tax shelters abroad? They just don't want to spend it in America because they'll have to pay taxes. They don't have any good way to invest it so they can make more money. That's obscene. And they're just one. Then all of the big tech companies. I saw this list. You know, Microsoft has $56 billion and Google has some. It's like, it's crazy. It's a kind of a madness. It proves, Krishna's statement, that lust leads to greed, and greed is never satisfied. More. You know? And more entanglement in the material world. So Srila Prabhupada came as a great revolutionary. He once said, if they understood what I was preaching, they would arrest me. Because the first revolution that has to take place is in the heart of the people. The heart of the people. You know, as long as the people who are the demons controlling the media and controlling the educational system and so forth, and implanting all of this false desires and false needs in the people, and exploiting like crazy, and wars everywhere. It's exactly the opposite of this, of peace. So this is the real peace movement. I joined the peace movement when I was in the 60s, but it didn't work. Krishna consciousness movement is the real peace movement, and that's just a byproduct. That's just, you know, the first stage, peace. But it's so important in society to have peaceful environment where you can feel secure, you know, for education and spiritual development and simple life. Peace is essential. That's why of the four propensities, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, the defending is overarching. If there's a danger somewhere, all the others don't matter. You know, you won't sleep if someone says, get up, there's a house is on fire, someone's attacking you. And if you're eating or mating, you'll stop it if there's an earthquake coming. So, but there's no peace now. You know, people are so anxious. So let's see what Krishna says. Yagya tapasam, he's the enjoyer. The idea is that one can truly be happy by awakening even a little bit of this consciousness of Krishna and working for Krishna. The things that you value, if you give them, and we have in ordinary society we experience that. The Christmas spirit. Now I was born in a Jewish family and I was basically an atheist. But when Christmas time came around and we were singing those hymns, you know, Silent Night and all these different things, even though it was this good feeling And this whole idea of Christmas spirit, I think it was less commercialized back in the 60s and 70s. It's still there, but this whole idea of giving charity and doing good for others and the Salvation Army, it was just, and the whole thing is based on, giving gifts. So that's a little reflection of what Krishna consciousness is every minute of every day. It's meant to take pleasure in giving gifts to Krishna. And through Krishna, everybody becoming happy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has this song where I think the last one, he says, and the more that people are in Krishna consciousness, the more jubilant the devotees become. In other words, they're just giving. Prabhupada sacrificed so much, and yet he was so blissful, especially in those early days when things just exploded, and he was experiencing directly Krishna's miracle after all that struggle, and it actually succeeded. And what was the success? People becoming happy in Krishna consciousness. I was just reading in chapter 7. We should really read this once every week or month. Chapter 7 of the Adi Lila. The whole mood of the Krishna consciousness movement is there, where Lord Chaitanya is breaking open the storehouse of love of God, and with the Panchatattva, it's all about the Panchatattva, and they're distributing it. And the more they distribute it, the more they had, because Krishna consciousness, you can't. The more you give it out, the more you get. Well, there's nothing like that in the material world. And it says right there, the more people were chanting, the more blissful they became. So that's the perfect yajna, Sankirtan yajna. It doesn't cost anything really, but it's the most powerful for oneself and for everyone else. So when we recognize Krishna as the ultimate enjoyer of all these sacrifices, why? Because he's Sarvaloka Maheshwara. He is the master and creator and controller of everything. Whoever is revered as a controller, whether it's Brahma or Shiva or any of the demigods or any of these petty demons who are running things now, whatever powers they get, they're all derived from Krishna. And the only way in which they keep those powers is when, the demigods especially, is when they're managing properly. So, and Krishna is such the greatest manager that he delegates everything, and so that he can just play in the spiritual world. What other God do you want to worship? Don't you somehow want to get the favor of that particular manifestation of God? In other words, the Supreme God. So, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram and Suridam Sarvabhutanam. Now here's this critical point. It's not just that he's the Supreme Ishvara and give it all to me and I'm going to enjoy. He's the best friend of everyone, eternally. You see how important that is? Why is it that, I remember when this broke. I mean, modern history is so crazy. Everyone knows who this, who was that fellow who defected and is living in Russia now? And, giving out all the secrets, the NSA. He revealed that they're spying on us? No, not the WikiLeaks guy. Nobody remembers. Anyway, the idea was that he revealed that Snowden, that the NSA and the CIA, they know everything. They know what you're typing into your little iPad. They know what you're saying on the phone, and they're keeping a record in Utah. They just built this huge, it's basically like a huge hard drive. We think the evolution of storage. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that, but I remember when 10 megabytes was like, whoa, we got 10 megabytes. This was I was in Miami in 1984. Thousands and millions of terabytes or whatever. So that's enough to store all of the information. Now, why does it make people uneasy? Because you don't trust it. You don't trust them that they have your best interest at heart. Plus, you got so many things to hide that you don't want them to understand. You see? So it's truly like George Orwell. It's like Big Brother, and people. But people have a tendency. You don't hear so much about it anymore. People are thinking it's one of the many things they just forget, like global warming, like climate change. It's I mean, according to the scientists, I mean, Krishna can do anything and neutralize it. But I heard today how, it's accelerating and the ice is melting. In Antarctica, the Arctic ice, where now they can just, the ice disappears, and the glaciers. Where do you think the water comes from? In India, where they have all the drinking water and the agriculture. It's from this melting of the glaciers in the mountains, in the Himalayas. If those glaciers disappear or decrease substantially, it's going to be a serious thing. Not only India, but in the Andes, California. Remember the drought? That was because there was no snowpack in the mountains. That's what keeps going in the summer. Anyway, all this stuff is going on. But people have a tendency to become oblivious and just look at their immediate problem. Shreyas and Preyas phenomenon, even on the material side. So, back to Snowden. So, it's like, if they know everything, they're trying to be the super soul, to know exactly what's going on, because by knowledge they feel they can control everything. And why does it make people so uneasy? Because you don't trust them, that they really have your best interests at heart. What are they going to do with that knowledge of you? You see? So, but Krishna really knows everything. But he really is the best friend of all. So, that remembrance of Krishna in the heart, Prabhupada mentions it right in the introduction. That super soul, we should understand, he knows everything, past, present, and future. He knows what we're thinking. And in Prabhupada, one should not forget this. You can read the introduction, you'll find it. This is what it means to be Krishna conscious. To train oneself to always act for the benefit of Krishna and for the benefit of Krishna's devotees, and to remember Krishna is within one heart, that he's giving you the intelligence to do it. That's another thing. It's all coming from him, so it should all be offered back to him. And by plugging in, by regaining that connection, that's yoga, one suddenly feels the happiness, the bhakti rasa, starting to awaken. That's where real happiness lies. Not in the sense gratification. That's the fool's gold. That draws you on, and you experience some pleasure, and it completely counteracts your very interest in all of these transcendental things. You're down in the muck of this material world. But the more you do that, the more miserable you become. And maybe not immediately, but eventually. And the more intense the pleasure, the quicker is the reaction. The quicker is the reaction. This is actually how the material world works. And that's one of the things we learned in this chapter. Yehi sansparjita bhoga dukkha yona evate. That the contact, the pleasures that come from sense gratification are the sources of your misery. The wise don't take pleasure there. It has a beginning and an end. So the way to really feel bliss, and this is mentioned in this chapter several places, this Brahma Nirvana, is to recognize Krishna as the best friend, learn more about him, keep glorifying him, serving him, keep that connection. And peace is just the foundation of your happiness. That's mentioned in the second chapter. Ragadvesha vimukta istu vishayanandayais charan atma vasha vidayatma pasadam adigachati. That those who are advanced, even when the senses are moving amongst the sense objects, they're free of raga and dvesha. They're free of attachment. Can you imagine? Even up to the point of, yamunacharya, not even wanting sex at all, being disgusted by it. How? Because at every moment he's tasting this bhakti rasa. So, so in this verse, in the second chapter, it says, by controlling the self and practicing the regulative principles of freedom, of bhakti, prasadam adhigachati, one gets the grace of the Lord. And what's the result? Prasade sabadukkanam hani, or all of your miseries are destroyed. Prasade sabadukkanam hanas vajet prasanna chetaso yashu, one becomes naturally joyful, and buddhi paryabhatishati, the intelligence is fixed. And then he says, what is it? Nasti buddhidiyuktasya nachayuktasya bhavana nashabhavetak shantir ashantasya kutaksukam. Without the intelligence being fixed in Krishna consciousness, in yoga, where is there any question of any peace? And without peace, how can there be happiness? So the peace comes from desirelessness. In other words, end of material desire. But that only comes by cultivating the desire to serve Krishna, recognizing him as the enjoyer here. And one who understands this can really be peaceful. And Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ateva Shanta, Lord Chaitanya said. Because the Krishna Bhakta has no nishkama, no kama, no personal desire, can be truly peaceful. But that doesn't mean he has no desire. He has no material desire. But that desire is all transferred to the desire to serve Krishna. And the perfect example is the gopis, who were absolutely obsessed with the desire to serve Krishna as he wanted. And that's why they ran out in the middle of the rasa dance, the greatest yogis. Now where is their peace? They become agitated, Krishna disappears. But that's a whole different thing. That's the Shuddha Sattva, love and separation. That kind of pain we want, because that pain is the greatest ecstasy. It becomes paradoxical, but that's how it works. So let's just run through this purport real quick. People don't know the formula for peace. This is the peace formula Prabhupada gave you. He is the proprietor and demigod. No one is greater than him. So Prabhupada is giving this like Upanishadic references of who Krishna is. Nantasikayam karanam cha vidyate. He has no duties to perform, and he has so many energies. Parasa shakti vivadhaiva shuyate. By those energies, everything's happening automatically. Swabhavaki jnana bala kriyacha. So who else is there to serve? He's the master, and we are under these stringent rules. We're categorically different from Krishna. He's the master of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it's not possible to achieve peace, either individually or collectively. And then Prabhupada defines Krishna consciousness. Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. The thing is that the language doesn't really, the language in English, predominator immediately says, I don't want to be predominated. But we have to cast that aside. This is the predomination of the lover, and they're embracing you. Krishna is like, we want to be predominated by Krishna. Advaita Acharya, who's Vishnu himself, he was very upset because Lord Chaitanya was seeing him as a superior. He wanted to just serve the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. So you know what he did? He started preaching Mayavad philosophy because he knew that would anger Lord Chaitanya. So when he heard that Lord Chaitanya came and chastised him, I think he even struck him. And Advaita became ecstatic. He said, at last, now, And what about Nityananda, Balaram himself? He didn't know anything. He said, anyone who chants Lord Chaitanya's name even once buys my heart. He was so eager to serve Lord Chaitanya, and even the greatest difficulty he had, because he would go to Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri during the Rath Yatra, with all the others and dance and chant. But then Lord Chaitanya said, don't come here anymore. I want you to preach in Bengal. Oh, it was a tremendous sacrifice. But he did it. He just stayed in Bengal and he did all the preaching and made thousands and thousands of devotees. So that absolute passion, for serving Krishna, that's what we should look for. And it's actually the natural nature of the soul. This idea of greed, is that greed we have to give up. Greed will destroy your devotional service. It was one of the 6 things. Atyahara prayasascha, prajalpo niyamagraha, janasangascha laulyamcha, shadbhakti pranashati. Pranashya means to completely destroy. Overeating, over-collecting, over-endeavoring for material things, hearing and talking all kinds of nonsense vibrations, and niyamagraha, slacking off on the regulations of the devotional service, or going through the motions without any heart, without any attention. 2 kinds of niyamagraha. And janasanga, associating with non-devotees, and laulyam. Laulyam is greed. Not even doing anything, but just maintaining a strong desire for material things, or allowing that desire to grow up in your heart. These are all these pitfalls. But then there's the other verse in which Ramananda Roy is telling Lord Chaitanya, he's answering questions of Lord Chaitanya, and he says that greed is good, just like that famous personality said. Well, what kind of greed? Krishna bhakti dasabhavatam ati yatam yadikatopi labhyate tatta laulyam, same word, tatta laulyam api bulyam ekalam, janmakoti sukatayana labhyate. He says the absorption of the mind in bhakti rasa, Krishna bhakti dasabhavitam ati, is something you should buy. If you can find it in Trader Joe's, you should purchase it right away. You don't wait for it being on sale, you know. But you have to know the price. The tatta laulyam api bulyam. The bulyam, the price is your laulyam, is your greed for it. You have to want it. You have to want it more than anything else. Some kind of pious activity you can perform for 1 million births and you're not going to get it. It's not some material thing. So cultivating that desire for Krishna is what KrishnaCon is all about. Why all this chanting? Hare Krishna, 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 Hare. Because Krishna's name is not different from Krishna. He's blessed us, especially in this age. He's infused it with all his energies. And so, by chanting his name, you're actually associating with Krishna. Now, there's a quality to such chanting, as Prabhupada explains in this famous verse in Kunti's prayers, Janmashaya Shuddha. But even without any quality, anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place can chant and benefit. So what's happening there? Well, our mad mind, you know, which is saturated with so many material desires and false philosophies and whatever, you know, the more that we can fix it on that transcendental sound, which is, there's no limit, you can chant as much as you want, the more you become attracted to Krishna. That's the very meaning of the word. Krishna is attractive in all kinds of ways that we can conceive of, and many ways we can't conceive of. So what does that mean? He's attracting us away from the material world, attracting us away from this illusory concept that somehow we can control and enjoy in this world. And it's a good idea. It's the worst idea. It just ensures you another term of imprisonment. Isn't it? So the best idea is to stay in yoga. And that means every facility, everything we have, all of the 10 senses, and all the Lakshmi, all the mental energy, the intelligence, everything, link it up. And that's the art and science of bhakti as it's been wonderfully crafted by Rupa Goswami following Lord Chaitanya. Every moment of every day can be filled. And what happens is you're polishing this heart, you're getting rid of all the abhadras, so the natural love, which is manifested in great eagerness to serve Krishna, becomes your natural state. That's the whole idea. And then, you know, this verse makes total sense. Of course Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. That's what it's all about. And when we participate in his enjoyment, that's when we truly enjoy in full consciousness. So let's go through it, finish this. So the idea, where does knowledge come in? So knowledge, we have to know, it's all knowledge, material and spiritual, is coming from Krishna. Material knowledge just means that we're, you know, stubbornly ignoring Krishna in everything, and we're separating it from him. But we can become knowledgeable in that way. It's kind of a madness kind of knowledge, but it's still knowledge. And we can manipulate the material world in a certain way, come up with all kinds of philosophies, and make nice poetry, and that has nothing to do with Krishna. But it's just a more and more entanglement and bewilderment for the mind. Na yadvichas chitta padam hare yasho jagat pavitram praganita karachit. This is a famous verse of Narada Muni. He's instructing Vyasadeva to write the Bhagavatam. Why should he write the Bhagavatam? He's explaining, this is why you're dissatisfied. You haven't written a book that's wholly and solely about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, and devotional service, the devotees, all the incarnations, the whole process. All your other books, you fudged it. Some kind of bridge preaching. Unsatisfactory. Not enough Krishna. Too much confusion. And he said, people, you know, because you got all these sacrifices in the Karma Kanda. So they'll go for the sacrificing of the cows. They'll forget all about the restrictions. And that's what happened. In other words, you give Maya an inch and she squeezes in. And that's what he said, forget it, no more. Just write the essence, the essential book. So he starts out, his first instruction is those words, and he's speaking, if you read the purpose, he's talking about some of the Vedic literatures he wrote, the flowery words of the Vedas, as Krishna says right in the second chapter. Pushpitam Vacha. that don't deal with Krishna, they're like a pilgrimage place for crows. The swan-like devotees don't take interest there. Now that's what you have, by a million times over in this world. So we're fighting that good fight. The loud chanting of the holy name, the kirtans, the books, everything, pushing back this against the tidal wave of this ignorant vibration with the pure vibration. And we should always remember that last line of the first verse of the Shikshastika. Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This is Lord Chaitanya's statement, God's statement itself, that Krishna Kirtan will be victorious. Vijayate means victory, all victory to Sankirtan, congregational chanting. It may not come in our human lives, individual. It may take some lives, it may take some time. But what can stop Krishna, ultimately? His sound, his name. And it affects people in the most important way, in the deepest consciousness. People become attracted. Recently, there was this lady who used to live there. You remember Chloe? Chloe, in the 2000, 2001. She lived there. She learned in Washington. She almost died. She got sick, and in the hospital, and the devotees, she said that she came down to Tucson, and she came here for a while. Anyway, she somehow got in touch with the movement. She completely lost track of where she was out there. But she called me, and she's she's not doing all that much bhakti. She's chanting a few rounds. But she still remembers the time. She remembered a verse that I taught her. Wonderful verse. About all the holy names of Krishna. Bandi. She's on the phone, she's chanting. This is after 15 years. Bandi desha sakandamanda pada shikanda liptanga he vrindaranya padandara spadada mundindivara shamala kadindi priyananda nandana padanandara vindekshana shigo vinda mukunda sundara tanoma dina mananda. This is from Punjabi. The thing is, the sounds, you have to realize that Sanskrit is, the sounds itself has an effect. What you may not know, but I'll let you know now, the few who will know, and those who are listening in, that the combination of the N and the D, as in Ananda and Nanda Nandana and Mukunda, this is productive of bliss, the sound itself. And so this is a festival of those sounds. Every name, Bandi Resha. So I'll tell you, there's a pastime where Krishna is playing in the Bandi Ravana tree. It's a big banyan tree. When I first read that pastime, I recalled my childhood. Because in Long Island, believe it or not, there was a banyan tree growing. At least it seemed like a banyan tree. It was a huge tree. We called it the gorilla tree. And we would swing on that tree, I swear, in camp. And there's Krishna playing in this tree, and with all the boys, and then what happens is Pralamba comes, Pralambasura, and that's the whole thing that's involved with Pralambasura. He's this big, naturally he's a shapeshifter, so he looks just like a coward boy, So, so Krishna sees him, he knows who he is, So he says, well, now we'll divide in two camps, and we're going to have wrestling, and whoever loses has to carry the winner, So Krishna won, side won, but Balaram's side lost. No, Balaram's side won. And Pralambasura was on Krishna's side, so he had to carry Balaram. So it says in the Krishna book, he avoided Krishna because he knew he was kind of strong, so he thought he would go with Balaram. So he's carrying Balaram. Now Balaram has this one characteristic. He's known for drinking the Varuni beverage and everything. So it always takes him a little take to come to his senses, so to speak, and realize what's going on. And every pastime you see, whether it's Dhenukasura or Rukmi, killing Rukmi, or this Pralambasura. So he's carrying Balaram. And suddenly, Balaram says, wait a minute, he's taking me far, far away from where we're supposed to. And so something's going on here. And but it took him a second. He says, oh, wait a minute, he's a demon. And so Balaram became very heavy, like the universe, And Pralambasura, suddenly couldn't keep that form anymore. So he manifests his real form, and it describes he had teeth coming up toward his brows. He had these fangs coming up. What does that mean? And his, big reddish eyes like copper, big. So Balaram, what is this? He says, oh, okay, demon. So he takes his fist and he knocks his head. And this has the blood started flowing, just like manganese coming out of a mountain, down dead. And all the boys kept running. He said, oh, they congratulated Balaram, give me a big hug, like. So that's the Bandi Resha, that kicks it up. Bandi Resha, Shikanda Mandara. And then Shikanda Mandara means he's got sandalwood paste all over his body that he's and with designs, Vara, Shikanda Liptangi. Shrikhand. Now Shrikhand, we know Shrikhand. Shrikhand is this whipped yogurt, right, with saffron in it. It's yellow sometimes. So Shrikhand itself just means a nice paste. So he's got the sandal paste, is very high quality. Vara means best. And it's very thick and he's got it on. So Shrikhanda Mandana Vara Shrikhanda Liptangahe, anointed with the very thick sandalwood paste. Vrindaranya Purandara, he is the prince of Vrindavan. Purandara, Spuraramandandivara. He has the complexion of a blossomed Indivara lotus. This especially is nice little bluish color. It's often used. So notice practically every name has this ND in it. Indivara, Sundara, very beautiful. Kalindi, Priyanandananda. Kalindi is very dear to him and he's very dear to the Kalindi. So he likes to play in the Kalindi. Kalindi is the Yamuna River. Priya Nandanandana, the beloved son of Nandana. Priya Nandanandana, Paranandekshana. He is supreme bliss personified. This is the name of Krishna. Parananda. 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 I'm forgetting it. Vrindarana Paranasparanandivira Kalindipa Yanandanan Paranandara Vindekshana. Beautiful lotus eyes. Shri Govinda, Mukunda, O Govinda, O Mukunda. Shri Govinda Mukunda Sundaratano, you have the beautiful form. Mandina Manandya. Please fill this wretched soul, Dinam, with bliss. Ananda. Please bliss me out. You can pray like that. Mandina Manandya. Bandi Deshitakandamana. Anyway, maybe we'll learn this verse gradually. We'll learn it. It's not hard. So she's chanting it on the phone. She remembered it after all this time. So the idea is that Narada Muni, in his instructions to Vyasadeva, he has a verse like that. He says, even if someone falls away from Krishna consciousness, he can never be just like the conditioned souls, because he'll always remember, it'll always come back to him, that experience of Krishna consciousness, of embracing the lotus feet of Krishna and experiencing bhakti rasa. So this is how Krishna consciousness will spread. Anyone who gets a little taste, it's in there. It may just be one time they passed by the chanting party and they did a little jig, for about 5 seconds. It happened. I remember. That's there. That's all they do next life. Anyway, let's go on. Okay, I'm sorry. So we'll begin chapter 6 tomorrow. Any questions or comments on any of these? This is because of the fasting. Forgive me. Go ahead. That's
there's different degrees of crowship, especially when you have children that have to go to school, they have to learn math, science, English especially. You want to keep it at least a little bit higher than most. There's different degrees of their trash and crow books.
Yes, there is.
Some is informative.
Well, it's interesting you mention like that because there's a purport. This is an incredible verse. I won't give you the Sanskrit, but at the beginning of the 2nd chapter, Adi Lila, there's a wonderful prayer where Krishna's Kaviraj is praying that the Ganges waters of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes will flow over his tongue, and we write about it, And he's describing the devotees of Lord Chaitanya like chakavaka birds and bees, and they're enjoying the flowing of this river and the lotuses that are flowing there, and the pastimes of hearing and chanting and loud chanting of Krishna. So in that purport, Prabhupada says that these poetry and all of these other things, these other activities, they're pleasurable because there's an element of transcendental pleasure in there, but it's covered with the modes of nature. In other words, the only thing that's really pleasurable is Krishna. And what we're experiencing in the material life is Krishna with second hand, third hand, through a veil darkly, that type of thing. And so you're absolutely right in the mode of goodness. And even sometimes, you'll find quotations. Prabhupada would quote, of course, from the Bible, which, it has some good quotes. What benefit is a man who loses his soul, and Prabhupada would quote from that sometimes. So it's not that there's nothing there. There's an element of it. But oftentimes it tends to degrade in the material world. And we can see how degrading culture has become, modern culture. So that's why the Bhagavatam gives us the pure sound vibration, so that, and we can be satisfied with that. It's so varied, there's so many stories, beautiful verses and everything. And it can satisfy the mind. And train the mind to be discerning and not let us get into the even the mode of goodness, nice aspects of Maya, because the mode of goodness can then be overwhelmed by the mode of passion, and you find yourself. So it's difficult. When you have children to train, naturally they have to learn these things so they can live in the world. But we should try to give them as much dose of Krishna consciousness as possible so they can know the difference. All right. We can't stop without one poem. Yes? If I can answer the question in a poem, I can tell you. Go ahead. You had a question?
Is there a dialect in India that they don't pronounce the A on?
That the A and
The A is silent.
I've never heard of it.
Like Anand, Magoo.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. That dropping of the final A is, I'm just speculating here, but I know it's very prominent in Bengali. So, who says Gopala? Nobody. Everyone says Gopal. But it's perfectly fine to do that in ordinary discourse, and we do it. But we always follow Prabhupada. You don't hear him saying Govind. It's always Govinda, right? But when you're in the middle of a shloka, Sanskrit is very strict. Every syllable is pronounced, and so you can't do that. Just like everyone says Shachinanda, Jai Shachinandana, Jaya Shachinanda. But if it's in the verse, it has to be Shachinandana. And there's a verse like that. I can show you. And so then the meter comes out. It's strict, But Krishna doesn't really mind, Bhava Grahi Janardana. He's looking for the bhava. He's looking for your feeling and how you're expressing it. So if you're chanting some material mantra to get a material end, watch out. If you don't pronounce it just right, you get the opposite. But if you're chanting Hare Krishna, like the Chinese, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. They had. There's a story. I'll tell you tomorrow because we got to go. Tamal Krishna says, there's one devotee. He couldn't chant. He was worried, and Tamal said, "Don't worry, just keep chanting." It ends up chanting. This devotee started chanting 64 rounds, and he became a perfect, chanter. Chinese. There's so many devotees over there. But the language, hard to pronounce the R's. Krishna sees the Baba. How do you go? Okay, let's have a little kirtan. I should have drank some water today. It's Nirjala. This is it. Nirjala Kaddashi. Today.
Everybody follows that?
No.
And you can just
You can just follow regular types. You're okay. You can follow. It's fine. It's You got yourself an iPad? Is it a late model? Wow. It's funny because we just got one for Santosh. And I spent a lot of time today putting all the goodies on. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Satarine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Flower. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari, Radhe. Oh Premanande Haribo. Jaya Mr. Bhagavad Paramahansa. Parvati Alara Alara Dayine Hiranyakashipo Vakshaha Shilatankana Kalaye Hito Nishinga Parato Nishingo Yato Yato Yamitato Nishinga Mahi Nishingo Rinai Nishingo Narasimha Maring Sharanam Prapaje Navakara Kamala Vare Nakam Ambuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanum Bringa Keshavasrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Navakara Kamala Hare Keshavandrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavandrita Narahari Rupa Keshavandrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Nrsimhare, 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 Jai Nrsimhare. Sri Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,